name's Karen Griffith. I'm an inner freedom and empowerment coach. I specialise in health coaching, in particular happiness, wellness, and mental fitness. So I tend to talk in and around those subjects and anything that I feel that's coming alive for me in the moment. Has it been a while? I thought today I'll focus on energy management, something that I think comes up for a lot of people. I know it's been something that I've had challenges with in the past, is managing my energy in a way where my tank is full, and from that overflow I'm better able to serve others in their experience. That said, as we know, life happens in and around our plans, and as such, from time to time, we are required to do more in certain areas, which detracts mostly from our experiences of the more fun aspects of life, the stuff that keeps you joyful, the stuff that keeps you purposeful, fulfilled, excitable, passionate, all that good stuff. So if you're thinking, what can I do about this? If that sounds like you, that you're having a challenge where you're actually experiencing a lot of, I would say, sustained stress, or there's a lot of obligations and expectations that you're working through that are ultimately impacting on your ability and sometimes your wellness, I would suggest an actionable tip that I'm going to share that you might find useful. So one of the changes, if I share my story a bit, is one of the changes I've made in the last 18 months and have been consistent. I hope to speak more about consistency and repetition in other videos and lives as I increase my presence here. And whilst we mention it, please do not forget to like, comment and share if you find this of value, and even more so, can you please subscribe to my channel? I'm now at 65. I would like some more followers, so help me gain the algorithms and share if you can. So after that ad break, what I would like to do is talk about, as promised, an actionable tool. I've got a question for you and something to think about before making a decision where a request is being made of you, and often they can look different, but assuming it's a request that you're happy to consider. Just to have a think about, if you were to treat your energy like a bank account, would you make the same investments? So I'll repeat. If you treated your energy like a bank account, would you make the same investments? I know from my experience that when I reflect, and it takes introspection to look inwards and review the circumstances under which I felt a certain way, mainly drained or exhausted, and there are usually some indicators that I've either stepped over, sidestepped, or completely ignored, and it's always leading to one thing: I didn't do a check-in with myself. So the reason why I bring this question as a point of view to perhaps think about and also feel into, and I suggest feel into it to see what is there for you, is to see possibly or consider the places, spaces, and things where the energy exchange is perhaps unbalanced. And if it's going on for a sustained period of time, and this will at some point affect your wellness, and I will talk about that in another live or video, I would suggest that if it's something you can't immediately deal with, then a practical tip is to dedicate 30 minutes at least of your time every day to an activity that is marked me time, and actually schedule it into your diary, phone, whatever device you use to organize or plan your day. And making it intentional by scheduling it means you've created that space for you to get into action on something or whatever it is that you can start acting on, so your tank's being replenished, refilled. I call my tank my sexy tank, by the way. What's yours? Do comment below. So the me time, I would suggest first thing in the morning, because energetically that will give you the best start to your day and mood. And trust me, this works. I've been working on my morning routine for, I think, 6 years now. I've been consistent with it. I may not do everything on it. It depends on my time. But that said, taking 30 minutes of activity that you can be, as a marker, open-minded, curious, no expectations, no result, no obligation, just something you can really enjoy. The kind of thing that will help you to transition into what you have next, and especially if it's something of a serious nature. And a place to look, I would say, is maybe spend some time journaling around childhood pursuits, things that you really enjoyed as a child. Like for me, I've gone back to cycling, I've gone back to dancing. There's a few things that I've rediscovered in my adulthood that I really enjoyed and just didn't create space or time for, because I was using the I don't have time as an excuse, which wasn't true. We all got the same amount of hours in the day, the same days per week. How we choose to use them is entirely up to us. So I would recommend, as an investment, going back to the question I said, if you were to treat your energy like a bank account, would you make the same investments? I know that every time I go out dancing or I do something that energizes me and I can be reflective of the experience, that is contributing to my tank. Anything that I notice that is draining me, exhausting me, and if I notice particularly it's over a sustained period of time and it's not serving or adding value to me, I seek to do something about it. And again, that could be a topic I'll take on for another video or live if I haven't already done so. And that is just 2% of your working day. 2%, just to give your future self that nourishment that it will thank you for if you make that investment in self. And it doesn't mean to say that you have to do it alone. You could do it with somebody else if you choose. But however you choose wisely this me time as a fulfillment of self. And again, I'm going to give some suggestions if you're open to it. I like to work around hormones as they naturally give the body the nurture and nourishment which you're taking personal responsibility for in the pleasure of enjoying your life when you can, because that is available for you. And I do get, as an adult, things become challenging. We do experience things particularly unexpected that are not always to our benefit. Sometimes they could be hard, and this is why an investment of 30 minutes at least per day of me time can do a lot to support you so that you do experience life from a more energized place rather than from a heavy, weighted, powerless, closed-minded place. So I'm going to suggest there's 4 key hormones or neurotransmitters that are helpful. I'm going to try not to get into the geeky stuff, science, because I can do that from time to time. Like, I would suggest anything that's love-based, like pets, oxytocin, endorphins, happiness. That's my favourite things. One of my favourites, so that's exercise and going out for a walk. Anything that gets the heart rate up, I find very useful. Dopamine is something I would invite you to get curious about. I highlight that one because for me, it can also be energy drain, and it also can create unhealthy habits because it taps into the reward center, the feeling of doing something. But what's the point of being busy doing certain things if it's not actually helpful, serving you? It's not actually productive. So I again highlight dopamine in particular because I'm hearing and seeing a lot of evidence at how dopamine, like scrolling on social media, before you know it. And a place to look is if you've got an iPhone. I'm not an Android, but I can speak to iPhone. You can actually see how much time you're spending on socials. And if you then relate that to actually the question I asked, is it energizing you? Is it making investment? Is it giving you a return, or is it depleting your account? And I noticed for me, certain accounts I was following and I had to unfollow because the content wasn't serving me. Actually, it was, as part of my mental diet, wasn't going to support that. Not the person I want to be, the person I'm becoming. I started to take a closer look, a more critical look at what I was absorbing in my space and took steps to address it. So that's my thing hat off. I'll get back on track. Serotonin is another lovely one, the feel good hormone. So, what things can you do to make yourself feel good? Serotonin, because it's a mood elevator, but if you pick the right things, and I would say feel good, creative, painting, pottery, things like that can really help. And I also find, I'm going to give you a quick tip of what I do, is I like to hug myself because that taps into the love hormone. And sometimes, when you want to be hugged and someone's not available, just give it to yourself. That's allowed. So I'm going to make another suggestion as well, just to take a look at what stress you could be under as a means of addressing it so that it's not starting to impact your body and therefore your wellness and also overspilling into mental health challenges. So if you look at the four suggested hormones, oxytocin, endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, you can do your own research. There's plenty out there. I suggest those four because they're quite easy to be sourced, don't necessarily cost money. Even if you make an investment for your me time, I would also encourage you to do things like maybe go charity shopping, which is ethical. You're using repurposed things that or donations. It's also donating. So in terms of gratitude and paying it forward, it's not necessarily paying it forward, sorry, but what I mean is you're supporting a cause. That might be really useful in a number of ways to support the tank being filled. So that's me done. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Again, my name is Karen Griffith. I hope you got value from the content. I really appreciate if you can drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you if there's anything that you would be interested in hearing more on in of what I've talked about today. Also, do make suggestions if there's any topics you'd like to be covered. I'm open to that too. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And if you're interested in speaking to me one-on-one and maybe booking a consultation, the link will be available in the bio. Thanks for watching. Take care. Speak to you soon.